Yeah, we're gonna get 4.5 million potential damage this game. I've skipped over the first little bit of this match, just the first million potential damage, and the use of our first heal. The full tank Preussen is a build that I didn't think I would like because of the superstructure. Every time I've tried these full tank builds on German battleships, I've found they don't work as well since I just get farmed out through my superstructure. And if I want to get all of my guns on target, at least with a curve first, I end up taking a ton of non-healable damage into my broadside, since you have to swing out so much to get all your guns off. This ship though, look at the angle we're able to hold and still get all of our guns off. It's really, really nice. So we're going to acquire a lot of potential damage. And what that means is we're also going to be reducing the cooldown on our heal. This is an upgrade that I've played around with ever since it released in the most recent Commander rework, and I haven't had a lot of great use out of it, but this build I think does make some solid use out of it since I have given up all concealment. Once my detection resets after firing, look at the minimap and you're going to see we have like a 18 kilometer concealment on this ship. So I've given up all thought of remaining in concealment. And I think that works well with the Preussen because we have a 21 second reload with this ship. So if we're always firing, we're probably not going to get undetected anyway. And holding a flank like this is just perfect. Let's be honest. Having people push into you is amazing. Unfortunately, we don't have the secondary range to reach out for this Colombo, but we are getting good damage out of our main guns, as you'll see as we go through this game. Even though the accuracy is pretty brutal sometimes, having this quick reload just makes up for it. And we're shooting at bow-in battleships, and that's probably not what this ship wants to be shooting at least with armor piercing. But this full tank bait build, I guess, is really, really solid when you can get these flanks and this holding side of the map. I think pushing in is just really, really difficult no matter what build you have. But if you're able to kite, if you're able to control the engagement through your distance here like this, I think it's going to work out really well. We're going to bait a lot of the enemy team into just trying to kill us and get us off the board. And what that's going to do is going to stall out the enemy team's push and allow us to pull ahead on points as we control both A and B. They've pretty much lemming trained all up to C cap, and our team has mostly lemming trained through A. The difference is our team actually managed to get B, so some pretty solid teammates that managed to get the cap, which allowed me to take this position. I think that this build might not be as fun as the secondary build, but I was shocked just how long I was able to stay alive. You're going to notice that I'm really not moving at full speed. I want to stay at a reasonable distance away from these guys, allowing me to get my guns on target and able to shoot, while also not getting myself in a position where I'm going to die too quickly. I do get lucky this game. I don't have the carrier after me, and I don't have to really deal with HE spam or torpedoes in this one. I'm constantly checking if I get undetected in between my shots. That will tell me if the destroyer is close to me or not. Last we saw the Kagero, he was moving away, and he's really not going to be a bother this entire game. For now, the Colombo is going to be the one spotting us, and we see the Kagero in B cap, so we don't have to worry about torpedoes. That's why I'm really not popping my hydro, since I really don't need it. We're already up to 2.3 million potential damage, and this is often a result I get in that 2 to 3 million potential damage. It's very common for me to die or the game to end in those kind of scenarios where I think I'm just either too aggressive or the games end too soon. So in my very first match with this build, yes, I just put this build on this morning actually, and I played one game, and this is what I got. I got this 4.5 million potential damage. I think it's a really solid build, and I gotta say, even though the Preussen does have some truly abysmal dispersion some of the time, we're about to see it on the Austin here, having these improved turret angles and fast reload really, really helps me to stay alive and make use of all this extra healing. I am using the upgrades to get 5 heals, and even in the 5th slot, I am getting rid of concealment in favor of longer consumable duration, giving us even more healing. And it works out quite well in this particular game. I'm going to continue to play around with it, but I do think I'm probably going to end up playing a lot more of my battleships this way, since I feel like I'm just spotted anyway, due to my positioning being very aggressive. I like to play aggressive most of the time, and if not, I'm getting pushed, I'm running away, I'm probably going to be lit anyway by a carrier, a destroyer, or a battleship trying to push close to me. So that's why I'm okay with giving up concealment here. It is a really tough consideration to make, and it's not something I necessarily recommend if you're not used to, or at least adapting to that playstyle and lack of concealment. The Columbo is going to get some really nasty shots into our angled superstructure with his sap. That's something that you just got to deal with. Sap is a pretty busted ammo type, and you got to expect to take huge damage at really any angle with that stuff. It's kind of brutal to deal with. At least our broadside armor is enough to shatter the sap, so it really is only the superstructure. But you're going to notice I'm doing my absolute best to stay alive here and not getting greedy to get all of my turrets off at this Columbo. It's resulting in pretty mediocre damage, let's be honest. But we are shooting quick enough that we're going to do decent damage over time anyway. And just like that, we're already up to 3.7 million potential damage. It creeps up pretty quick, and the real nice thing about this potential damage is it reduces the cooldown on our heal. The more potential damage we get, the faster we can get to our next heal. So by the end of this game, I think it's somewhere in the 55-second range on the heal cooldown for a Preussen. And that's pretty quick considering 80 seconds is the base cooldown. This is not like the Ohio where you get that 40-second cooldown. 80 seconds is a long time, and reducing that into the mid-50s is pretty amazing, especially since those last heals tend to be the most difficult to get to. It's one of the reasons I tend not to actually run the upgrades to my healing and getting that 5th heal on my battleships, because I often find I have a tough time getting to it without dying. And even here, we're on pretty low HP, and our heal just came back to our last heal. This Columbo gets a good salvo in, but we do manage to get to our last heal. And that is one of those things that makes this build very interesting to me. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend you guys all rush out and respec your commanders like this. I'll show you what the build is later on in the video, but it certainly worked for this game, and it's fun enough that I'm going to probably try and play this a little bit more. I do have the secondary upgrade, though, giving me better accuracy. I'm not taking range. I'm just doing the accuracy upgrade so that when somebody's within 9.2 kilometers of me, my secondaries can be a little bit accurate. I think that's a reasonable trade-off, since outside that range, it's really only going to do damage to battleships and the odd cruiser anyway, since dispersion is pretty bad until you get the full activation of that skill, taking around 45 seconds, right? And so destroyers, light cruisers, they're probably going to go dark in that time anyway, so it's really not worth it if you're looking at it in that sort of way to take the range upgrades. Much better to get better main gun accuracy and maybe take some extra damage control type upgrades on your commander. Like I've taken basics of survivability here, getting our fire reduction as much as we possibly can as well. Every once in a while, these guns definitely do work, and we're already up to 157,000 damage. That's a great game, honestly. I think that getting anything like that, I'm going to be very happy with that result, especially with 4.5 million potential damage. Reload time, 53 seconds. Okay, I got it under 55 seconds even with 4.5 million potential damage. Not the most common result. I don't expect that to happen every time. But even getting the cooldown into the mid-60s or even 60 seconds, a minute cooldown on this heal, and it's going to be healing me for a lot since I'm taking both healing upgrades. It's a tanky build on a tanky ship, and I didn't think it would work out because of the superstructure. And yet, even with battleships constantly shooting at our superstructure, easily able to get full pens, we still managed to stay alive. Well, I think doing a good job distracting the entire enemy team here. And we get a kill, 170,000 damage. and a win in this one. And I think I actually end up getting a second kill here on the Yamato with the use of our spotter plane increasing our range. A pretty crazy match. I don't often get these high potential damage games, but they're really fun when they do. A lot of stress and a lot of pressure when people are shooting you that often. And it just so happened that the Preussen worked out in this one with this build. We ended up around second on our team and fully tanking 183,000 damage. Pretty amazing considering 4.5 million was incoming. The full tank build Preussen outside of this secondary upgrade. This is what I'm talking about. Getting accuracy on our secondaries can help in close range, I think. And 9.2 kilometers is enough brawling range where most of the time I'm going to make use of these secondaries if I'm brawling someone. I'm going to be running away like I was in this game. I think adding those extra range upgrades on the secondaries is only taking away from my ability to tank. Basics of survivability, improved repair party, there it is, giving us that quicker cooldown, and I think we made use of it a little bit in this game. Emergency repair expert, and fire prevention. If you're really not interested in the secondaries at all, I feel kind of bad giving them up completely on a German battleship if I'm honest, but you could definitely run concealment and be a tankier, more concealed ship entirely. As well, on the equipment, we're running tank build. Damage control system mod 2, I'm also fully in on the heal upgrade. And again, we're running main battery mod 3 to give us a 21-second reload. Aiming systems mod 1 to improve our accuracy a little bit, hopefully. And that does give us a little on our secondaries as well. This gives us some pretty beefy heals. I believe it gets us just over 20,000 HP recovered per heal. And hopefully gives us a few more heals per game since we're getting the cooldown a little bit quicker on them. Overall, I'd like this build. It's a really unique one that I haven't played with before, and I'm excited to try it more, maybe in some dirigible derby, but I think for random battles, it actually functioned quite well, and I'm pretty happy with how it went. So let me know how you guys are wanting to build your Preussens. I think this is maybe what I'm going to stick with. We'll see. But anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.